I know you're out there. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
The KrisAnne Hall Show.
Any varmint that crosses that lady's path has met its match. Come on!
Rise and shine, liberty-loving patriots. It is time for some winter soldiers and some rainy day patriots to make themselves be heard. It is time for the people who love liberty, who love the foundation of this country, who love the very principles that we are built upon, to stand and say no more. Stand and say, I will not comply, I will not tolerate, and I will not go along with this corrupt, destructive system anymore. This is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. It's not going to take Washington, D.C. fixing itself. It's not going to happen. Your voting is not going to change a thing. We don't have time for that. Because guess what? We have a president who thinks he's king. And a Congress who doesn't care. We have a government who is trashing our Constitution on a regular basis. And I'm not just talking about Congress, and I'm not just talking about the president. I'm talking about the FBI. I'm talking about the Department of Homeland Security. I'm talking about your local police department. Florida. Don't even call it a conservative state anymore. Florida has lost its stinking mind. I mean, I could have told you that was going to happen when I realized that we have federal supremacists in our state capital. I mean, we have a Republican House, a Republican Senate, a Republican governor, a Republican Attorney General, and a Republican Commissioner of Agriculture, all of whom are federal supremacists who have absolutely no understanding of what's going on, have no understanding of their obligation as state legislators, as people who are in a state served with the opportunity and the obligation to protect the sovereignty of the states and the liberty of the people. They're stupid. Florida government is filled with stupid people. And I don't even have a problem saying that. I mean, I really do not. I don't know what happened in Tallahassee. Some kind of mind melt, alien abduction, probing all of our politicians in Florida and finding nothing. You know what? I don't know, man. Something happened in Tallahassee and they just sucked out their stinking brains. I guess that's what happens when the aliens get in touch with their anal probes in Tallahassee. Oops, can I say that on the air? Just did. Anyway, you know, I told you last week about the Army spying on our citizens in Washington, but I also told you last week about the FBI raiding a family's home, prepper family, mind you, with flash grenades in neighbors' cars, swarms of vehicles and helicopters, all because the people owned guns that were not in the National Registry or not approved by the Federal Treasury. You know, I'm still trying to connect my brain on that one. How does the Federal Treasury match up with the Second Amendment? I'm just not wrapping my brain around that one. I really want to know that. And then when the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department was questioned about why the FBI was allowed to do this, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department says, well, they're the FBI. They do whatever they want. Nice. See, that's what happens when you live in a state of federal supremacists. You have a Senate president by the name of Don Gates who sends out emails to people like me, by the way, to me, yes, telling me that I should be shot or hanged because I believe that he has an obligation to stand against federal encroachment. And that's what happens when you have an attorney general like Pam Bondi. I'm very grateful to know that she's not on Fox so much anymore. Maybe her head will shrink a little bit with her power-hungry narcissism that she has. She's the attorney general that ran on the Republican ticket, and she was supposed to be our conservative hero because she had blonde hair and breasts. And now she's fighting to have the federal government's rules played here in Florida, so that the law enforcement in Florida can have, guess what? The law enforcement in Florida can take your electronic equipment, your phones, your cell phones, your iPads, your laptops, whatever, and just raid them without a warrant. She wants the Supreme Court of Florida to rule that citizens who are seen carrying a gun should be automatically assumed to be criminals, guilty until proven innocent in the eyes of Pam Bondi. And so that's what you get in a state that rules like that. You get sheriffs who have absolutely no idea what their responsibility is to the Constitution, have absolutely no idea what their responsibility is to protect the people from enemies foreign and domestic. And so when the FBI starts raiding homes in violation of the Fourth Amendment, in violation of our liberty, for no reasons at all, I mean excessive force, hello, and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department is okay with that. Why should we be excited about that when we live in a state like Florida? Why should we be excited about that when a Homestead, Florida couple is traumatized after a dozen heavily armed SWAT agents crash through their front door, flash bang their cat, and aim rifles at them, searching their homes without explanations? Oh, yeah, we'll give them a warrant 2 hours later that doesn't even nearly comply with the Fourth Amendment. The woman's taken a shower. She's covered her body with a towel, and the officers snatch the towel off her body and throw her naked to the ground. Oh, yeah, that's okay in the state of Florida. We don't have a problem with that because you know what? They're the DHS. They can do whatever they want to do. I just want to know. I want to know, America. Is that okay with you? I mean, is that really okay with you, Florida? I mean, why hasn't our Florida legislators have just gone stinking ballistic over this? Oh, well, you know what? Because they're obviously done something wrong. Otherwise, the DHS wouldn't have raided their homes. And you know what? In Homestead, Florida, we don't need warrants in Homestead, Florida, because you know what? They were probably selling drugs or something. Because you know what? We got to have the Department of Homeland Security chiming in on the drug war now so they can flash bang cats and strip naked women on their floor. I don't know about this, people. I really don't know about this. The crazy thing is this. Ted Cruz spoke at the Faith and Freedom Coalition annual conference in Washington, D.C. last week and said, no time in our nation's history have we seen threats like these to our religious liberty. We see our foreign policy collapsing every week as the world is getting more and more dangerous. And then he says, we have never seen times. Threats we're facing in this country are unprecedented. Problem is, I beg to differ with Mr. Cruz. Apparently, he hasn't picked up and read the Declaration of Independence lately. So I thought maybe we'd look at some of these unprecedented threats. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. Well, maybe Cruz has a point there. That was a grievance against the king. That's a grievance that we should have against our king, only our legislators approved today. So maybe that's the unprecedented part that Cruz was talking about. The fact that we do have standing armies in our presence, kept among us in times of peace, but our legislators approve of it. So there you go. He has made judges dependent upon his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Well, that's not unprecedented. We have that today, don't we? Roberts and all these other federal judges that are dependent on the federal government for their salaries, dependent upon the appointment of the King Barry and his continued consent of their seat, because once again, Congress will do nothing. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to eat out our substances and harass our people. Oh, that's not unprecedented. That was against the king back then, too. And a multitude of new offices. How many new czars do we have? How many new SWAT teams do we have? How many new regulatory agencies with regulatory policies whose only purpose is to harass the people and eat out their substances? I don't know. He is affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Well, there you go. I mean, we're doing that right now. Remember the report that I gave you last week about the U.S. Army spying on local citizens in the name of national security? Let's talk about the NDAA in 2012, 2013, 2014, and again in 2015. Let's talk about the NSA spying on us. Oh, yeah, that's right. The House has made an unprecedented move to slow down the spying, but it still wasn't enough. I'm sorry, probably not enough for 94. 94 Republicans voted against this. Not because it wasn't slowing down the government enough, because they don't want it slowed down. Hey, look at the list of people who voted against it, and you'll know exactly why. Hawks, I tell you, all the lot of them. Michelle Bachmann, once again, defending the federal government spying on our people in the name of national security. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. Oh, that's not unprecedented. That again was the Declaration of Independence. He has refused his assent to laws. The most wholesome and necessary for the public good. I just want you to see, these are not unprecedented. But we have an unprecedented situation that needs to be dealt with.
The KrisAnne Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist. KrisAnne Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
Ted Cruz says we are seeing unprecedented threat on this country, and I beg to differ. I really don't think it's unprecedented. As we go through the Declaration of Independence and we talk about the NSA spying on us, we talk about being indefinitely detained, we talk about flash-banging cats, we talk about the federal government raiding people's homes and ripping towels and throwing women naked to the floor. We talk about the Bureau of Land Management tasing people for protesting and throwing 56-year-old cancer patients to the ground. We talk about the federal government in the guise of the U.S. Army spying on citizens who want to protest war. We talk about, the stealing of our land through the BLM, through the EPA, through the FDA, stealing our property and our businesses. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. We need to translate that, okay? The king is telling the governors they can't do what they need to do to protect their states and keep the people, the situations lawful in the states, unless the king gives the permission to do it. And then says, okay, when I'm ready to give you permission, I'll do it, but then never gets around to it. Hello? Protecting your border states. Any governors trying to do that with King Barry not allowing them and the King Congress standing behind them? And the oligarchy of thieves we know as the Supreme Court standing behind the king and his court? I don't understand this. Oh, here's a good one. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasion on the rights of the people. Well, I think maybe Mr. Cruz might have an unprecedented point there. I have yet to see any people in our houses, whether they be the Senate or the House of Representatives, opposing this king with manly firmness for his invasions on our rights. But our King Barry has dissolved our Congress repeatedly. You know, he doesn't have to dissolve Congress by sending them home and dismissing them. Saying he has a phone and a pen, saying he'll pass laws if they won't, saying that he doesn't need Congress to go to war. No, he doesn't. Oh, no. And Mitch McConnell's okay with that because Mitch McConnell has no manly firmness in him. Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said Obama was comfortable with the extraordinary war powers granted to him by the Iraq resolution because we thought George Bush was okay with that power, which the president, Mitch McConnell says, believes allows him to circumvent Congress regarding that. And then here's what Mitch McConnell says about this conversation about this new war effort. We had a good discussion, McConnell said. The president basically just briefed us on the situation in Iraq and indicated that he didn't feel he had any need for authority from us for the steps that he might take and indicated he would keep us posted. Well, of course, Mitch McConnell's not going to have a problem with that because he wants to go to war. Seriously, people. As if we haven't seen enough disaster in this warmongering foreign policy that we've adopted. Seriously. We created this problem in Iraq with the first Iraq war, but we didn't learn our lesson when we created Al-Qaeda when we tried to defeat Russia, and now we have a global war on terror based on an Al-Qaeda we created. But McConnell's okay with that. Oh, and it didn't take Marco Rubio long to chime in on that. Remember, Rubio was the first one to jump up and say, war, we need war in Syria. We got to go to Syria. And now he's like, oh, we need to go Iraq. This is what we got to do. War. Oh, my goodness. Will somebody give Marco Rubio a Xanax, please? The man is so war hungry. Where did that come from? Holy cow. He wasn't even a colonel. Why would he be all war hungry? Maybe he's a wannabe. Maybe somebody told him he couldn't join the military. He had flat feet or something, and now he's all hawkish because he wants to be a soldier or something. Hey, I'm just trying to show you this is not unprecedented. We are dealing with the same history being repeated from centuries ago. And when are we going to wake up and smell the tyranny? Hey, I don't know what to tell you anymore. I'm sounding the alarm. Let's wake up.
The KrisAnne Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist. The KrisAnne Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
Yeah, I'm KrisAnne Hall. I know I'm going to sound a little bit different today, a little bit bolder, a little bit more aggressive, but it's still me. Go to my website, KrisAnneHall.com, KrisAnnehall.com, and listen to other podcasts. The voice is just the same, just a little bit more aggravated today, perhaps because I've spent 2 days in bed with food poisoning and 2 nights trying to fly out of an airport that keeps canceling my flights. I don't know. Maybe that's what's making me a little bit aggressive. Or maybe it's just the utter stupidity that I'm seeing in government. and the reliance on the general public for the government to fix its own problems. I don't know. What are we going to do? We have got to wake up to what is going on. 94 Republicans in the House against stopping the NSA from backdooring our Fourth Amendment. See, that's all that does. It doesn't even match up to Amacha's USA Freedom Act. Doesn't even match up to that, which got watered down by the House after they, laid prostrate at the feet of Obama and started licking his toenails. Yeah, because that's what Boehner does. At least he doesn't in his sleep. I know he wakes up in the middle of the night and has to take a shower because he's had his wild and crazy dreams about his time alone with Obama. But this is crazy now. This is absolutely crazy. And am I being harsh today? I don't know. I'm just trying to shake some people awake. Flash banging cats, people. Flash banging cats. We flash bang babies. We flash bang people in their cars now. We have swarms of copters and FBI agents, and that's okay. We're all right with that. We must be all right with that because I'm not seeing it anywhere in the mainstream media, and I'm not seeing congressmen going crazy. I'm not seeing Ted Cruz talking about this stuff. This is the FBI and the DHS. This is not your local law enforcement. This is federal government. This is violation of your liberty. And all they can do is talk about amnesty. Oh, why? Because we've got immigrants pouring across this country, across the borders, and dropping their children off. As if creating laws to make the criminals legal isn't bad enough. Now they're abandoning their children to us, and that's okay. Hey, you know what? If I abandoned my child in the middle of town square, somebody would be hunting me down and prosecuting me. Wow. But we have to feel sorry for these people who are abandoning their children? Do you know what I want to know? Why aren't we prosecuting parents for this? Why aren't we putting people into jail because then, we'd actually have to deport them or something, I guess. I don't know. Here's my solution to this problem. All of these children need to be put up for adoption right now. The minute they step over the border, their parents have abandoned them. You put them up for adoption. We have parents who are longing to have children, who cannot have children, who are going to foreign countries to adopt children. It's time to start a massive adoption campaign with all these toddlers. 378 toddlers abandoned across the border. I know plenty of loving parents who would love to adopt these beautiful little toddlers. Why are we housing them like this? Let's get them into adoption agencies. Let's get them into private agencies. Let's get them in public agencies. Let's just start a massive adoption campaign and see what happens. And then when their parents come forward and try to object to the adoption, you arrest them and throw them in prison for child abandonment and child abuse. That's what you got to do. Why are we... Because we have become such a weak and spineless country. Weak, spineless, and lawless. What in the world is going on in Mexico? Has anybody ever done a real investigation? Why do we have 378 toddlers among our illegal immigrant border surge? Why? What is going on in Mexico that the people want to leave there so badly? I thought that we were, Obama loves Mexico. I thought that George Bush loves Mexico. George Bush sent $11 million to Mexico to teach people how to come over here and get food stamps. We must love Mexicans because in the Mexican government because we're funding them by $11 million every year. At least, I'm sure we got more money than that going over there. Oh, well, we gotta love the Mexican government because we're arming their cartels. So why are they trying to leave Mexico so bad if they're so great? I don't know. Maybe I should have taken the Xanax today. Okay. So what are we doing? We're flashbanging cats, flashbanging babies, throwing flashbang grenades in cars. We're raiding people's homes over guns not on a national registry. And we're raiding people's homes, stripping women naked, throwing them to the floor over, we don't even know why yet, because the court hasn't told them. The warrant says nothing. But we gotta worry about making, illegal people legal. Dealing with why now this sudden surge? Why? Because we're talking amnesty. Because if we shut down the borders and make everybody legal who's inside, because that's the proposal, right? Shut down the borders and make everybody legal who's inside. Why in the world wouldn't they be screaming and running over here before the borders shut down? Because they know as soon as they get here, flashbang, you're a citizen. I love that word now, flashbang. Flashbang, flashbang. Flashbang, now you're a citizen. But we have the IRS to be angry at too, don't we? So we don't have to worry about flashbanging cats. We can watch Paul Ryan get angry at the IRS. I'm angry. Do you hear that? I'm angry at the IRS, Paul Ryan says. This is pulled from the annals of Hey Pot, Let's Call the Kettle Black. Are you ready? Paul Ryan erupted, they say, on the Internal Revenue Service Commissioner John Koskinen. How do you say that? Koskinen. Koskinen. John Koskinen, Friday, in the House Ways and Means Committee hearing over suspicious disappearance of Lois Lerner emails. Right, suspicious. Okay. Suspicious is a word that you use when you have doubt about something. Okay? Suspicion is what you call it when you're not really quite sure. I don't think this is suspicious, okay? I think the use of that word is not appropriate here. I think perhaps maybe they don't know what that means. So, here is Paul Ryan's eruption. Quote, "This is not being forthcoming. This is being misleading again." Ooh, that's so tough. What a tough man. Pot calling the kettle black. "This is not being forthcoming. This is being misleading again," Paul Ryan says. Well, let's talk about the Paul Ryan budget that got slammed on our Congress, about how misleading that was, Mr. Ryan. While you're criticizing the IRS for being misleading, how about let's talk about taking the pensions away from our veterans and not telling anybody about it while you cram that budget down the throats of your loyal Republican followers, huh? Oh, and then admitting that you knew it was there, but you thought you could take it back later after it was passed. How's that working out for us, Paul Ryan? Because I'm still not seeing that taken back. Oh, but you can get angry at the IRS for being misleading and not being forthcoming. But when are we going to have a House hearing against you, Mr. Ryan, for being misleading and not forthcoming about your budget and all the lies in the budget about how we can stop spending and cut over 10 years when you know very well that no Congress in the future is ever bound by a cut that is made by a current Congress? And then he says, okay, so here's the quote. Are you ready? I'm just loving this. This quote, I'm quoting Paul Ryan, "This is not being forthcoming. This is being misleading again. This is a pattern of behavior that is not giving us any confidence. I don't believe you. This is incredible." You know what? Somebody ought to be saying that to Paul Ryan. I think we need to record that and strap Paul Ryan to a chair and let him hear his own voice for the next 3 hours repeating those statements. Because he's done exactly the same thing. How do we give this man any airplay? How do we give him any time on the airwaves at all? How do we believe anything that comes out of his mouth? He is a colossal liar. Oh, because that's what... No, he's not. He's misleading. He's not being forthcoming. No, that's lies. I'm sorry. That's what we call lies. Lies, lies, lies. And it's okay when he can criticize the IRS for that. But we can't criticize him for doing the same thing. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Maybe tomorrow's show will be a little bit more relaxed. What do you think? Doesn't it make you upset, though? I mean, why aren't we reminded that our veterans still don't get their pensions? Why aren't we reminded that they haven't restored that? Why aren't we reminded that Mitch McConnell's okay with the fact that the president feels that it's okay, he doesn't need to tell anybody about what he's going to do in Iraq? Mitch McConnell classifies that as a good discussion. Really? What is going on? And the best thing that we can get is a clip from Rand Paul saying, you know, I really think the president needs to consult us. Really, Rand? And what are you guys prepared to do when he doesn't? Because he's already just told you he's not going to. So he's not going to do it. What are you going to do about it? Congress, what are you going to do about this? Because if you don't step up, if you don't man up with some manly firmness here shortly, you're going to have a real mess on your hands.
KrisAnne Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist. KrisAnne Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
Since I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever that anyone in Congress is ever going to stand up with any kind of manly firmness and defend our liberty, I'm just going to spend a few minutes today promoting my new book. I'm going to have it out to you. I'm trying to build up the anticipation. Are you ready? I'm building up the anticipation. We should be releasing it here very, very soon. I'm going to have the first hardback copy in my hand tomorrow. I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see it. The book is called Sovereign Duty. Yes, I use that term sovereign, which means I am now, as if I wasn't before, I am now clearly, squarely on the DHS domestic terrorist list because I have written a book about sovereignty, and sovereignty is a very, very, very seditious and defiant word. We don't want to use that. No, don't say that out loud because, then if you believe in sovereignty, then guess what? You are a domestic terrorist. Well, my new book, Sovereign Duty, is about what we need to do to get this federal government under control because they're not going to do it. And the very first chapter is called State Sovereignty. Who your states are, where they came from, what your state legislatures are supposed to be acting like. Their duty, according to the Constitution. Because your state legislators have a duty to the Constitution. They do. Remember, the Constitution's purpose is to preserve the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, and your states have an absolute obligation to the Constitution. Why? Well, in Chapter 3, you learn about the contractual agreement. Why is your state governments so duty-bound to keep the federal government limited? Because they're legally and contractually bound to do so. So they need to learn in the next chapter how to act like sovereign states. Because guess what? We need to teach them again. Too many of our states are ate up with federal supremacists like my Florida state is. Not enough states are like Kansas or Utah, who are willing to stand up for sovereignty, like Kansas, who says, hey, Eric Holder, the people of Kansas have spoken, and if you don't like how we think about the Second Amendment and the 10th Amendment, why don't you just come right on over here and try to do something about it? I have a chapter in my book on the constitutional sheriffs. What is the role of the sheriff? Where did the sheriff come from? How do we know what the sheriff is? What are they supposed to do? Sheriff. The role of the sheriff has changed very little over centuries. And his obligation to the people and to liberty and to keeping the peace is something that our sheriffs have completely forgotten. Not all of them. Yes, there's a chapter on Article 5 in my new book. And guess what? All of those naysayers who say KrisAnne Hall is anti-Article 5 will nana boo boo. Go read my chapter on Article 5. I have a chapter about the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. And then I have a chapter that's highly controversial, as if the title of the book, State Sovereign Duty, is not enough. I have an entire chapter dedicated to your right to resist tyranny. Your right, your obligation, and your duty. Hey, it's about time we realize that liberty is a gift that's been given to us, but we have an obligation, a solemn obligation, to defend it, protect it, prosper it for our children. Are you tired of it? Are you tyrannized enough already? It's time to get the solutions. Go to my website, sign up to get the email list so that you can be notified when the new book comes out. Get on my Facebook page. Follow me on Twitter at KrisAnne Hall. Make sure you have a copy of this book. It will be an instruction manual. God bless. Let's do what we got to do. Save liberty. See you tomorrow.